Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Please let me know when you're on. I would be glad to say hello to you guys. I'll give everybody just a few seconds to get on, and then we're going to get started. Because y'all know, I don't like holding you up because you got families, you got things you need to do. You guys, we talked last week, and I hope you guys got something out of the podcast. We talked about keep it together, sis. You know, there's so many things in life that are set up to tear us down. So many things that are set up to tear us apart, especially our families, you guys. So we really got to keep it together, sis. Our relationships are too important with our significant other, with our children, with our friends. So it's up to us. Somebody's got to keep it together. So I hope you got some tips from last week, and I hope that helps you to just maintain. You know, storms are going to come in everybody's life, you guys, but you have to know how to weather the storm. And February is all about love, you guys. So happy. Hey, Miss Lockridge. February is all about love, you guys. But I want to promote self-love. Because one thing I have found out from my own life experiences, if you don't truly love yourself, it is very hard for you to love somebody else correctly. And so I am promoting self-love so that you can love other people the way they deserve to be loved. So that's what February is about. It's about us recognizing that we're worthy. You know, God says that we're worthy. You are worthy. So today, you guys, let's get started. Our topic today is keep climbing. Like I said before, life is hard sometimes, you guys, and I know it's so hard to keep pushing when everything seems like it's against you, when everything that you do seems like it's not working out. But you have to be patient and wait on God, because a lot of things, it's just the process, you guys. And I was blessed today. I was working, and a friend of mine was there to see the doctor, and she stopped me. She said, Karen, I know you're busy. She said, but I just want to tell you thank you, because months and months ago, and I didn't even remember this until she told me, she was really stressing out about some things concerning her health. And I remember I took a minute and talked to her, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to need you to calm down. I'm going to need you to pray to your God. I said, I'm going to need you to trust God. He's never forsaken you. I need you to believe God, that He's going to take care of you. And I need you, hey, Wendy, I need you to trust the process. And she came back today and just thanked me for those words. You know, you just never know what you say to somebody, how it blesses them. That's why we have to be so careful about our words. You know, I'm not one of those people that tries to act like I'm super spiritual, or, you know, God is telling me something He's not telling everybody else. I just speak from my heart. And I know what it's like to be anxious about things. I know what it's like to feel like everything is falling apart. So it created some patience in me. Not that I'm going to keep it together all the time, but I have those things worked patience in my life. And so I can honestly tell somebody to trust the process, because I had to trust it over and over again. And that's why it's important to just be who you are. You don't have to fake and front and act like you're something more than what you are. Be who you are, because that's good enough. You know, you don't have to try to impress anybody. You don't have to try to be on somebody's stage or do what somebody else does. God loves genuine people. And when you're genuine, God can use you, and you are effective. So I just wanted to share that, because that really blessed me to know that whatever I said to her, you know, God did what He said He was going to do. God worked with whatever words and calmed her heart, and she's better today because of it. And so any of us who've reached adulthood has come to the terms that life is full of mountains. You know, there's always a mountain somewhere. You know, you'll go smooth sailing for a while, and then here we go. Here's a mountain that comes in your way. And we have to decide whether we're going to climb the mountain or we're going to die at the foot of the mountain. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to encourage you not to die, not to surrender when things get hard. You know, throw away, hey, Kinsley, throw away that white flag that every time the enemy comes up against you, you just say, forget it. You know, I can't catch a break, this, that, and the other. Stop saying those things. You know, I had a coworker, she was talking to somebody in the break room the other day, and she's been ill. And she still got the cough and stuff, this upper respiratory stuff. And I remember the lady was asking her about it, how she was feeling. She said, I just can't seem to get rid of this. I just can't seem to shake this. And I looked at her because I know she's a woman of faith. And I said, stop saying I can't. Just say that I'm working on, or just say that it's lingering, but I'm feeling better. Quit saying what you can't do. You have to make up your mind that there's nothing that you can't do. If it's meant for you to do it, do it. But you have to decide if you're willing to put in the work to climb the mountain, or if you just want to die at the foot of the mountain. And one of the hardest things to do after a setback is to get back up. You know, everything in you tells you to stay down when you're going through something. Everything in your flesh says, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I don't even want to try anymore. That's your flesh talking to you. The hardest thing you can do after a setback is to get back up. And especially if you don't know what you're going to do when you get up. The beginning of your blessing, the beginning of your breakthrough is just getting up. Don't lay there defeated in whatever you got going on. Just understand that God has not left you. He has not forsaken you, but you have to get up. He can't do nothing with you laying down. Get up and make up your mind that you're not going to let this kill you, whatever it is. Whatever it is. And then when you get back up, make up your mind that I'm a conqueror. Even before it happens, even before you get to that end that you need, even before things turn around, make up your mind and start speaking over your life and say, I'm already a conqueror because I got up. The enemy wanted me to stay down. The enemy wanted me to be defeated, but I got back up. I got back up in the strength of the Lord, not in my own strength. I got back up in the strength of the Lord. And the easiest part of staying down is just to stay there. It's easy to make excuses, and a lot of times we do that. We got 101 reasons why we don't get back up and try again. But we've got to stop making these excuses, because all that does is make you a defeated Christian. All that does is kill whatever testimony you have, because people remember, oh, she just gave up. Oh, he just gave up. You know, but he say he loved the Lord, but they just give up every time something is hard. Don't let that be you. Because it takes real heart and it takes real courage to get back up when what you're facing seems bigger than you. And we have to recognize that God is for us and recognize that he will help you keep on climbing. It's not going to be in your own strength. Sometimes you're not going to feel like it. You have to pray to God, God, help me to keep going. Help me to keep climbing. Because God is bigger than your doubt. Because a lot of times we say, you know what, I can't do it. I don't see how I can do this. Stop saying that to yourself and say, God, you know what I'm able to do. You know what you put inside of me. You know, if you're telling me I need to go ahead and do this, I'm going to shake off all this doubt and I'm going to give it my best shot. God is bigger than the hurt that you've gone through. A lot of times we give up because people have hurt us. But God is bigger than that. People are going to do people stuff, you guys. Everybody is not like you. Everybody is not loving like you. Everybody doesn't care like you. You know, everybody doesn't go by the golden rule, you know, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Some people, they just hurt people and it doesn't bother them. But you have to decide, what they did to me is not going to stop me. You got to keep climbing. God is so much bigger than your mistakes. Life is full of mistakes, and there's no manual. There is no instructions on how to do this. We're going to make mistakes, you guys, as long as we are breathing. But God is bigger than your mistake. God is bigger than your fears. Because a lot of times we're afraid of something that hadn't even happened yet. You guys, God is bigger than that. God is bigger than your past. Stop letting your past get in front of you. Put your past in your rearview mirror where it belongs. Stop bringing up your past and the mistakes you've made in your past. Stop letting people bring up your past, because that's not you anymore. That's not you anymore. You're moving forward. So you've got to let go of the past so you can grab hold of your future. God is bigger than your regrets, you guys. We all have regrets. We all have things that we shouldn't have done, or we could have done better, or we could have done differently. But you know what? That time is gone. You can't go back and undo what you did. So leave those regrets in the past and say, you know what? I'm leaving all of that behind me, because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. The only way I can get past my regrets is to do things differently the next time. Do things better the next time. God is bigger than your worries, you guys. We worry, like I say, we fear things that haven't happened sometimes, or we fear making a mistake. But then we worry about things, that God says don't worry about. If you're going to trust God, then stop doing all that worrying. Trust God to do it the way He wants to do it. A lot of time we're worrying because it ain't working out because of the way we want it to work out. Trust God with it and stop worrying. God is bigger than the pain. Some of us live with chronic pain every day, and just know that your God is bigger than that. God wants you to keep on pushing even through the pain, you guys. Do what you got to do to take care of your bodies. Do what you got to do to minimize your pain. If you're not eating right, change your diet. Look for things that reduce inflammation. Look for things that help with your joints. Look for things that you can do for yourself to minimize your pain, because God has put those things out there. Most of the time, it's herbs in the earth that God has put out there to help with your pain. But you've got to do the research. You've got to be willing to change some things that you're doing. You may need to exercise. That may alleviate some of your pain. But God is bigger than that. You just got to trust Him. And lastly, God is bigger than your shame. We've all done some things that we don't want other people to know about. I don't want some things in my life read out loud in front of everybody else, but God knows. God knows, and I put those things in God's hand. So you have to let go of the shame. God is not condemning you for your past mistakes. You have got to let it go, because a lot of times we're the ones condemning ourselves. So we need to learn to speak back to whatever mountain is standing up in front of us. Anything that's intimidating us, you have to speak to it. And you remind it that God is bigger than you. Whatever's standing up, whoever's standing up in front of you, God is bigger than you. God is going to show me how to deal with you. God is going to show me how to get over you and get around you. God is going to give me that. But you have to stop making things and people bigger than God. So how we face things depends a lot on, one, how we see ourselves. If you see yourself as defeated, if you see yourself as weak, if you see yourself as not able to stand up for yourself, you won't. You'll always be defeated. If you see yourself as the kind of person that can't adapt to change, that hates change, when you start speaking all that, oh, I hate, why do things have to change? I hate they're changing this, I hate they're changing that. Stop saying those things, because you don't know what that change is going to do for you. Today, my coworker, and I love to share things about my own life. My coworker, we've got this machine that checks for COVID and flu. And this is a brand new machine, and it takes 15 minutes, for the test to read. All of us hated it in the beginning. But I've learned to like the machine over time. After using it, because it's accurate, number one, it does 2 tests at the same time. It's saving me time. I can do the test and I can walk away and do other things. You know, we hate change, but we don't give change a chance. Hey, Andrea, we have to give change a chance, and we got to stop complaining about something before we even experience it, you guys. And how we deal with things and face things depends on what other people have shown us. You know, when you've never seen a strong woman, you know, handle her business, or a strong woman be influential, or a strong woman be humble, you may not know how to do that. Other people's behavior does have influence over us, especially if that's all that we saw. You know, a lot of times women, you know, don't see the right examples in their life, and they mimic what they do see, even if it's toxic, even if it's dysfunctional. God, we got to change our behaviors, and we got to change the kind of people we're hanging around if we want our life to be better. And another thing that affects how we face obstacles is where our faith is. You know, if you haven't been spending time growing your faith with God, if you haven't been trusting in God, talking to God, a lot of times you will be fearful when something comes up. You will break when things come up because you haven't used your spiritual muscle. You haven't been in tune with God to remind yourself that this too shall pass. So where your faith is definitely decides how you handle when there's a mountain in front of you. So let's talk about 10 ways to handle obstacles that come into our life. Number 1, stay flexible. Resilient people expect to face challenges at different times of their life. You have got to have a mindset of nothing stays the same. You have got to start thinking that way. That way you stay flexible. That way when it changes, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, even as we're growing older, things are changing, and you got to roll with it. You got to bob and weave with it. You can't be so stuck in your ways that you can't even evolve. You can't even adapt to change. And sometimes we even have to adapt and adjust our goals, because what we thought we wanted to do or how we were going to do it, maybe that's not the best way, or maybe in the time that we're in, that's just not going to work. So you have to always be willing to adjust what you do. Instead of being afraid of it, instead of being negative about it, learn to stay flexible and realize nothing stays the same. Everything changes. Okay? Number 2, learn your lessons. You have got to learn your lessons. You got to focus on the positive, even if it's a negative experience. Find something positive out of it. Even if you had to walk away from a relationship, remind yourself, okay, now I have time to work on me. Now I have time to make better decisions. Now I can figure out why I was in that relationship in the first place. If you have to walk away from a job, or say you even get fired from a job, that gives you an opportunity. I can either go back to school, or I can do a different type of job, or I can do a job where I actually get to work from home and get better hours. Find the positive. Get your lessons out of everything. You know, you don't have to die in the season that you're in. You don't have to die just because something bad happened to you. When you get through crying, when you get through feeling bad about it, take some time and just find something positive out of it. There's always something positive in every situation. Even when we lose people, you guys, you know, a lot of times, you know, I have to talk to families after they've just lost a loved one, and especially a family member that's been sick. And you hate to see people hurting like that. But one thing I've learned is God knows. And I have a conversation with them, and I always ask, you know, were they sick a long time? You know, because patients always confide in me, and they tell me this person died in their family, that person, this happened, that happened. And I said, were they sick for a long time? They were like, yeah, you know, they were on dialysis, they was on hospice, and this, that, and the other. And I said, were they in a lot of pain? And they were like, yeah, she hurt all the time, this, that, and the other. I said, well, she ain't hurting now. And a lot of times that'll put a smile on their face, or she ain't struggling to breathe now, or he's not having to worry about this or worry about that. You've got to find something good, even in the hardest of things. And I think losing a loved one is the hardest thing. But you have to find some good in that, and just understand there was a reason it had to happen the way that it did. The third way to handle obstacles is to take action. Think what you can do to improve your situation. Sitting around, whining about it, crying about it, sulking over it, it's not going to do you a bit of good. You need to come up with a plan and take action. What can I do to better this situation? What can I do to keep from having to keep going through this same thing? Do I need some time by myself? Do I need to talk to somebody? Do I need to get a counselor? Whatever you got to do, take action, because nothing changes until you move. Just being still and wallowing in it, you will be there a long time if you choose to be. The way you get healed, the way you get through something is moving forward, you guys. We don't have time to stay there and wallow in what's going on. Number 4, stay connected. Because we have a tendency, you guys, when we're going through something. I was the world's worst, but I'm not that person anymore. I used to, when I was going through something, when nobody hear nothing from me, I would suffer in silence. I would hurt all by myself, simply because I didn't want to be embarrassed. There was really nobody I could trust and confide in, this, that, and the other. That is the worst thing you can do, because guess what? While you're by yourself, the enemy stays in your head. He keeps reminding you of whatever bad thing has just happened. He plays with your mind, and he makes things so much worse than they have to be. And your recovery time and your joy, it takes so long to get it back when you're trying to do it all by yourself and you're trying to hide from everybody and disconnect from everybody. So stay connected to people that actually nurture you, that people that really love you. Stay connected to those people, and you'll find out who really loves you. Go through something bad, and go through it for a long time. You'll find out who's really there for you and who's not, who's just talking lip service, because people that truly love you, they're going to be there until you make it to the other side, no matter how long it takes. So that's the blessing in that. God sometimes weeds people out of your life. He lets you go through something so you can see who your friends are and who your fake friends are. That way you can handle them accordingly. Number 5, release the tension, you guys. Sometimes we get so worked up and we stay all just stressed out about a situation in our life, and before we know it, we explode because we have not found a way to release the tension. You have got to have an outlet to express your emotion. Whether you got to drive up to the lake and just scream and cry and throw a whole kind of fit, do what you got to do, but let that stuff out of you so that it doesn't hurt you and internalize, and then you take it out on the wrong person, or you end up running your blood pressure up. Stress and high blood pressure and high intense situations, it's killing women, you guys, because we carry so much. And I know the men do too, but women, we carry it a different way. And it's really killing us, you guys. We have got to find a way to release tension, whether it's going for a walk, getting on a bike, going somewhere, just taking a long drive, just getting away from whatever is stressing you. You got to do that for your own mental health and your own well-being. You've got to have an outlet to express your emotions. Number 6, you need to have a sense of purpose. When you're going through those obstacles in life, you got to have something to hold on to and remind yourself, you know what? I'm not going to stop what I'm doing because I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that. And I know God has put me here for a reason. And I know this is the enemy, trying to keep me from working in the gifts that God has given me. You have got to have a sense of purpose, or, I know I need to be here for my children. I know they need me to be strong. I know they need me to be a good role model. You have to have a sense of purpose in your life. Something that tells you to keep going, something that's bigger than you, is what I'm saying. When it comes to you having children, your children is what's bigger than you. Raising your children is bigger than you, because none of us know how to do it. None of us know how to do it. None of us did it absolutely perfect. Nobody ever will. But you got to have something that's bigger than whatever you're going through, that you are determined to get done. And it'll help you push through. Okay? And do things that bring meaning to your life. Number 7, learn healthy habits. When obstacles are in your way, sometimes we bring things on ourselves by what we have allowed in our life, you guys. And we let some unhealthy stuff get in our life. We let toxic people in our life. We get caught up in social media. We get caught up in these crazy shows that come on with all the drama and this, that, and the other. That stuff gets inside of you. You internalize that stuff. And before you know it, you're acting in a way that you know better than to act. But what you allow around you, what you're watching all the time, what you're hearing all the time, all of that stuff matters. So sometimes it's our unhealthy habits or the people we're allowing to be in our presence that's causing the obstacles in our life. So we have got to ask God to show us what we need to be doing differently so that we can move forward. And a lot of us, it's just not taking care of ourselves, not taking care of our bodies. When you're doing things that are unhealthy, you can't think clear. You have a hard time making good decisions. So you need to clean up whatever you need to clean up so you can do the right things, so that you can have an abundant life and so that you can continue to move forward in a positive way. 8, believe in yourself. We are so quick to believe in everybody else and cheer everybody on. We have to understand that we are our own cheerleader. We don't wait for other people to applaud us and pat us on the back. We need to learn to do that for ourselves. We are some amazing people. Just some of the stuff that we have had to do and live through and smile through and cry through. We're amazing people. The fact that we're still here with the spirit that we have, with the love and the joy that we still have, you need to start believing in yourself, because God obviously put something inside of you that was strong enough to help you get through every situation you've got through up to this point. So start believing in your own abilities. Take pride in your abilities and what you've done. A lot of times we don't look back enough to say, you know what? Last year, I was in a hot mess. This year, I'm doing so much better. You need to recognize your personal strengths and recognize when you're doing better and verbalize that. Speak to yourself. Number 9, be optimistic. That means keep a positive attitude and just remember that problems are only temporary, you guys. They come to pass. They're going to pass. And number 10, and my final on how to handle obstacles, is keep a sense of humor. Hold on to your laughter. Don't let anything be so serious that you can't laugh. Laughter helps relieve stress, you guys. Find something to laugh about. The next thing we need to do is make sure that we are prioritizing our life. And we must figure out what's important to us, you guys. You must decide if what you're up against is worth your tears, worth your energy, or worth your time. Make sure it's worth that if you're going to have to climb it. Make sure that it's going to benefit you in the end. Because every battle is not meant for you to fight. Sometimes God puts a battle in your life so that you'll pray for direction. Sometimes He wants you to start talking to Him and ask Him which way you need to go and stop depending on yourself all the time. And then sometimes God allows things to happen because you've gotten so far off track. He wants you back. He wants you back where you need to be, because sometimes we can get so far off track and we don't even realize it until something bad happens. And then sometimes things fail, but God is trying to reveal something to us. But sometimes we just won't listen. So he has to allow what you're trying to do, let your plans fail, so that you'll start listening and you'll start following his voice. And remember, the battle is not always yours. Sometimes we fight battles, 10, 15 years ago. And that battle that we fought, that thing that we went through, is keeping a curse off of our family. It's keeping your child from having to go through something, keeping a sister from having to go through something. Just because of what you had to go through, sometimes you are blessing your family because now they don't have to go through it. And the battle you fought 10, 15, 20 years ago, and the wisdom that you got from it, and the experience that you gained from it, you don't know who you're going to bless with that today. And that has been one of the things that's just so awesome to me. And that's why I'm learning to not despise all the things that I went through, not despising, all the things that hurt me, all the things that I was ashamed to tell somebody that was going on, because now I'm seeing in my life that when I share those things with other people that are going through some of the same stuff, it's effective. What I tell them is effective. It makes a difference. They get it in their spirit when I'm talking to them, because they know I've actually been through it. There is nothing like somebody that's been through what you're going through talking to you. It's a whole nother level when that person has been where you are now and they begin to tell you their story and how they made it through. That gives you hope. That gives you courage. That gives you that empowerment that you need. And those things are the things in your low times. You're going to remember that person's voice. You're going to remember what they shared with you. And it's going to help you get through. It's going to help you climb some mountains. And then we need to know who's on our team, because that really does matter. And the way you need to know that, the reason why you need to know that, number one, you're going to need them to be strong when you're weak. So it's good to know who really cares about you, who's really for you, who's really behind you, who's really got your back. Because there's going to be some times when you're weak and you need them to be strong. Number two, you need good listeners, not people that want to give you their left-handed advice all the time. You need some people that know how to shut up, sit there, listen, and truly empathize with you. You need people who love you just for who you are. Number four, you need people who can help you come up with solutions, not pity you. It's time out for the pity party. That doesn't get anybody anywhere. And I know misery loves company, but I don't want to be in company with misery. When I come to you and I've gone through something, I want you to say, okay, babe, I know that's bad. I hate that happened to you, but come on, let's think of what we can do to make that better. Those are the people that I want to talk to. That person that instantly is thinking, okay, how can we make this better? Let's figure it out. All right, sis, I know you're hurting, but come on, let's write this down. Let's figure out what we can do. Those are the people you need in your life. You don't need anybody to pity you. You don't need anybody, saying, come on over here, girl. It happened to me too, girl. I know how you feel. I don't need that. I need somebody that loves me enough to say, okay, all right, I know you're hurting, but I just want to throw some ideas at you, and you think about it and you get back with me, because they keep you accountable. And when they say you get back with me, they check back with you in a couple of days and say, did you give it a thought what I told you to do or what I recommended that you do? What do you need me to do to try to help you to move along? Those are the kind of people you need in your life, not somebody to pity you. Number five, you need people who will tell you the truth, even when you don't like what they say. And I know that's hard pressed because everybody's trying not to hurt nobody's feelings. Everybody's trying not to make anybody mad. But there's going to come a time in your life when you crave the truth. When anything other than the truth makes you sick to your stomach. And you are going to become the kind of person that say, look, you may not like what I'm about to say, but look, I'm going to say it anyway. That's the kind of friends you need. Somebody that already knows you're not going to like it, but they're not scared of you. They're going to say what they need to say simply because they know you need to hear what they're saying. That's a true friend. And number 6, hey, Christelle, we all need a realist in our life. You know, sometimes we get off, with this fairy tale talking about how we want things to work, this, that, and the other. Sometimes you need somebody to snap you back into reality and say, okay, well, I know you're trying to do all of that, but first you need to take care of this right here. I know you're saying you want to do all this, you want to buy all of this. First, you need to quit shopping all the time. You need to get your credit right. You see your credit score, you need to do something about that first and then move on. You're trying to think too far ahead. You need friends that keep it real with you and help you stay in reality so you don't get out there and get disappointed and make a fool of yourself. Number 7, you need people who will squash your excuses. There is nothing like a person that can see through you and see through your lies and see through your excuses. You need a person like that in your life that'll say, okay, I done heard it all. Are you through? Are you done? Hey, Kaja. Hey, San. Are you through with all of that? Okay, now, I done heard your little excuses, but what's really going on? So you need a person like that that can see through you and see through you trying to come up with excuses and this and that for not doing what you need to do. You need that kind of person on your team because that's a person that loves you enough to let you know, I'm not buying all of this. You better than that. Come on, do better than what you're doing. And then how to have courage when you're dealing with life's challenges. Number 1, you need to think of someone less fortunate, more unfortunate than you. Because remind yourself that someone is facing even bigger obstacles than what you're facing. There's always somebody doing worse than you. And you got to stay with that on your mind and realize it could be worse than what it is. Number 2, you got to minimize your fear. The more you think about something, the bigger it gets. The more you talk about something, the bigger it gets. Look at the small pieces so it's not overwhelming. Focus on one thing that you can control in that situation. Take care of that. Then move on to the next thing that you can control. And then the next. Stop making things bigger than they are. Deal with what you can handle first and just chip away with it just a little bit at a time. And that way you minimize your fear. Because some things are just so overwhelming and it will give you anxiety and you won't get nothing done when you're anxious. 3, talk it out. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself and encourage yourself in the Lord because the enemy's always going to try to get in your ear when a mountain comes in your life and wants to tell you, oh, you ain't going to be able to do nothing with this. Oh, that's too big. You ain't going to be able to get this. Going to stop you in your track. You have to talk to yourself. And a lot of times you need to hear your own voice. So speak up and believe what you're saying and say it even when you don't believe it until you do believe it. And just understand that you have to encourage yourself in the Lord. It is nobody's responsibility to encourage you. God put enough inside of each and every one of us to be able to encourage ourselves. We have got to believe that God has put whatever we needed inside of us to handle whatever is in front of us. So talk it out, talk to yourself, and learn to encourage yourself. Quit getting mad because somebody didn't call you and pump you up. Quit getting mad because this person didn't answer the phone. It's okay. Sometimes God doesn't let people answer the phone because he needs you to encourage yourself. He needs you to talk to him and stop talking to everybody else. Stop trying to get your strength from everybody else when he gave you what you need on the inside, all you got to do is tap into him. That other person can't make you stronger. God is the only one that can make you stronger. So talk it out. Don't be afraid to speak it. Even when you don't believe it, you keep speaking it until you feel it. Even with tears in your eyes, I've done it, y'all. I have spoken some things, and when things wasn't looking good, and I'm just crying. I'm still saying it, but I'm crying. And before you know it, the cries began to turn into praise because it finally hit my spirit and I've received it and I truly started to believe it. Number 4, let go of what you're afraid of losing. A lot of times we hold on to things and we're so scared of losing it that we don't even enjoy it while we have it. And you have to understand, especially when it comes to people, people are going to come and they're going to go. You can't be afraid of losing somebody to the point where you're just petrified. You can't even enjoy your life. And a lot of us women, and I'm going to talk to single women, a lot of us, we tolerate stuff from men that we fall in love with. A lot of us know they're not treating us right, but we are so petrified of losing that person simply because our heart wants that person. The heart is deceitful. The Bible says that. Out of it comes no good thing. You have to understand sometimes your heart will deceive you, because if your spirit man is saying this ain't right, this is not how God wants you to be treated, this, that, and the other, it's an opposition of your heart. And the enemy will use your heart to make you hold on to stuff that's not good for you. Hold on to it like you can't live without it. You can live without anything but God. So we need to learn to let go of what we're afraid of losing, because if it's ours, it'll come back. They'll be back if it's meant for them to be in your life, or if it's meant for you to have something. I've seen people lose houses and then God let them get a better house later on. You have to stop being afraid of losing, because anything that you lose, their time was up anyway. That's people, that's places, that's things. Sometimes the time is up and you need to move on to something else. So stop being afraid of losing something to the point where you compromise yourself, to the point where you're so afraid to live and enjoy because you're always scared you're not going to have it tomorrow. Enjoy whatever you have today and let God worry about tomorrow. If it's there tomorrow, fine. If it's not, then the time was up. I enjoyed the time that we had. So we got to stop being afraid. And that's for us women, our single women and our single men. Don't tolerate less than because you're afraid of being by yourself. There ain't nothing wrong with being by yourself. There's a blessing in being by yourself. And that's a whole nother topic. 5, make a plan and write it down, so that it makes a little bit more sense to you. When you're going through something, you got all these thoughts going through your head. And then by the end of the day, you've been doing so much, you can't even remember. That's why it's good to write things down. They don't have nothing to do with age. It's just when you're distracted, when you start doing other things, you tend to forget stuff. So start writing things down. Start making a plan. Write those good ideas down of how to make your life better, how to get past this mountain that's in front of you. That way you can sit down and you can go through it and say, you know what? Yeah, I see how this is going to work. And God will begin to work with you when you write things down and you write the vision. God is going to show you a way to make things happen. But you've got to be settled in your mind, and you can't be all over the place. 6, accept what you cannot control. That's another thing that's hard for people to do. And it takes courage to say, you know what? I can't fix this. You know what? I'm through worrying about this. You know what? I'm not giving any more energy to this. I'm just going to have to let this go. It takes courage to do that. 7, always, no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, remember your value. You are valuable no matter what situation you're going through. 8, draw from your past experiences. One thing that's always helped me is remembering what God had already brought me through. So when something else comes up, even though it may be intimidating me, I have to reach back and say, you know what, God, I done been here before. You know what, God, when such and such happened to me, you got me out of that. God, you made that person leave me alone. God, you took this situation out of my life. God, you showed me how to handle, this, that, and the other. Reach back into your past. That's what your past experiences are for. They're to help strengthen you, and they're to help strengthen somebody else. So draw on those past experiences, and that way you'll understand that God has always been with you. He has never left you. 9, you got to see yourself out of the situation. Visualize the outcome. Ask yourself, how will I be better because I went through this? You got to see yourself as a winner. The Bible talks about, I want to say it's in Psalms 114. Well, it talks about, it's good for me that I was afflicted. And it took me a long time to be able to say that and really mean it. Some things, it was good that I went through. It hurt like heck when I was going through. I was mad. I was like, why me, Lord? I'm nice to everybody. But some things had to happen that way. Simply because there were some things in me God had to draw out. And that was not going to happen if I was in an easy chair or I was comfortable all the time. So a lot of times God makes you uncomfortable because there's something great inside of you, and it's got to be broken out. It's not just going to ooze out. Some things have to be broken out of you, in order for you to start using those gifts. So visualize the outcome and ask yourself, how will I be better because I went through this? 10, expect greatness. Even in times of fear, everything you project is going to happen. You got to understand, if you expect to fail, you're going to fail. If you fear things, there will always be something for you to be scared of. And a person that's loving, you'll always find love everywhere. You'll always find somebody to love on and hug on when you've got that down in your spirit. And opposite fear, if you're always fearful, there will always be something standing up in front of you to build on that fear. The enemy's going to make sure of it. Because what you experience on the outside of yourself is projected in your expectation. You got to expect to win. And if you project positivity and expect good things to happen to your life, you're more likely to create a life of success and a life of abundance, simply because you believe you deserve it. A lot of it is what we think about ourselves, you guys. And we have to understand the mountains that come into our lives, you guys, they all have a purpose. God doesn't let things come up against us for nothing. Number 1, sometimes it's a warning. Sometimes God has been trying to talk to you over and over again. You've been ignoring him. You've been wanting to do your own thing. And God has to let a mountain come up and say, okay, I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm putting this up in front of you. You need to turn around and do something different. 2, sometimes it's to strengthen you. Sometimes God wants you to climb that mountain because he knows you got it in you. He knows what's on the other side is going to make you a better person than you were on the other side of the mountain. 3, sometimes God makes us face our fears simply because that fear in your life is bigger than God in your life. And God doesn't want you reverencing anything. Sometimes we reverence our fear. We hold on to our fear. We focus all our attention and our time on our fear. God wants that. So sometimes he'll make you face your fears so that you'll realize nothing is bigger than him. 4, sometimes the mountain is there to teach you a lesson, that you don't know everything, that doing it your way is not always the right way. So sometimes he wants to teach you a lesson. Okay, go ahead, do it the way you want to do it and watch it fall. So sometimes he lets the mountain come just to teach you a lesson because you think you know so much. And 5, sometimes the mountain is to just remind you that you need God because it's something that you can't handle on your own. So sometimes God is like, okay, I'm going to put up something bigger than her. She going to have to come to me. He going to have to come to me. God doesn't allow things to happen. He doesn't put a mountain or allow the mountain without there being a purpose for the mountain. And my final thought, you guys, is happy Black History Month, number 1. Today's the first day. And thinking of Black History Month and thinking about mountains, I thought about a Christian song that was sung by two famous Black gospel singers, Mahalia Jackson and Miss Inez Andrews. Both are deceased. And the title of the song was Lord, Don't Move My Mountain. And I remember I used to hear that playing when I was young. You know, they played it a lot and we were cleaning up the house and stuff. And I never understood why these women were asking God not to move their mountain. Like, what? Shoot, if God can do all that, let him move it. But I understand now, because in the song it says, but give me the strength to climb. Because they understood that if the mountain was there, God was there. There's never a mountain and God wasn't there. You have to decide if you're going to die at the foot of the mountain or you're going to say, okay, God, come on, let's get it, and start climbing. And these women went through a time in their life when they were out there singing and stuff. They faced a lot of racial mountains. So these women broke some barriers, and they were the actual example of what it meant to have mountains just popping up in front of them. They had to keep pressing forward and keep climbing. So what we have to learn is that things are going to change, and understand the mountains are going to come. There's no way to stop that. And just know that the mountains are meant to strengthen you, they're meant to change you, and they're meant to empower you. So don't die at the foot of the mountain. Keep climbing. God has something better waiting on the other side. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Happy Black History Month. Learn something, about Black history. It's fascinating. There's so many things they didn't teach us. There's so many great people in Black history that invented things, that started things that other people took credit for. And just know, be proud of your heritage, whatever it is. And just know that God made you exactly the way you're supposed to be, and God loves you. You guys take care. Love you guys, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.